Church of Pittsburgh. It is Sunday, August 30th of 2026. As we begin with gratitude, Maddie, thank you so much. I am Reverend Dr. Kate Walker. I use the she, her pronouns, and I'm delighted and honored to be your minister. I serve this beloved community, and for those with visual disabilities, I'm a middle-aged European descent female. My hair is light brown, mid-length, I wear glasses. Today I had on a brightly colored Santa Fe style sundress with a side of love UUA stole, bright yellow. Beloved, you are welcome here. If you were watching now on YouTube or in the future, you are welcome. However you arrived, if you were still in your pajamas, or if you got gussied up, we're glad you were here with us this morning. We are Unitarian Universalists, a multi-faith religious community where all are welcome, diversity is celebrated, and questions are encouraged. We are growing, we are learning, we are loved. Just as you are welcome. And if this is your first time with us and you are on YouTube, please, after the service, make sure you explore our website. There you will find on the main page an option to sign up for our newsletter down at the bottom. It's through MailChimp. Or send us an email, introduce yourself. If you're here in person, please check us out in our garden lobby. We have a welcome desk. You can sign up to get information from us, or just have a conversation with us after service. Below this room, is the Undercroft. We'll be gathering after service. We are an active community, and I want to make sure everybody is aware. Next Sunday, we have the wonderful artist Mike Hoy, who will be presenting worship. This is a don't miss it kind of worship. She has, and our partner recently moved to Philadelphia, so we're not going to have many more opportunities to hear Mai, but she's an extraordinary artist from Vietnam, and I think don't miss it. And of course, April 13th is our in-gathering service. We invite you to bring a small sample of water for our annual in-gathering. That water can come from your home, a garden, from your travels around the world. And of course, we'll have a big potluck afterward. Look for more information about what we are inviting you to bring for that potluck. I invite you to take a deep breath and arrive in body and spirit. Be present with one another or wherever you are this morning if you're on YouTube. Maybe picture yourself connected to one another in this sanctuary, in this sacred space. Picture yourself connected to churches and communities and houses of worship throughout Pittsburgh this weekend and throughout our beautiful Commonwealth and our country. As we turn to our chalice lighting, the symbol of our faith as Unitarian Universalists, two circles with a flame. And I offer two sets of words for you today. One is from the spirit of intimacy, ancient teachings in the way of relationship. So bon fou sommet. Community is the spirit, the guiding light of the tribe, whereby people come together to fulfill a special purpose, to help others fulfill their purpose and to take care of one another. And the second word's from Nancy Bowen, who is a systems trainer who's helped many Unitarian Universalist churches and other denominations. She wrote, the purpose of the church is to heal the consequences of lovelessness and injustice in the hearts and souls of our members, so they might heal the community and together heal the world. I invite you to rise as you're able for our opening hymn, We Belong to One Another.
join this morning in our collective grounding. The words are in the order of service and on the screens. We name our collective recommitment to care for the earth, knowing the ground we live upon is sacred. We pledge to bring new life to the earth, new life to the air, new life to the waters, new life to each other, for all life is sacred.
I'm Erica Shadowsong, Lifespan Religious Education Director. I am an Afro-Latina wearing a lot of purple and a light purple headscarf. And today's story is called Many Paths to God. There was a mountain that several travelers all arrived at. There were 5 of them, and they all came to this mountain, and they all were told at the top of this mountain, we're going to find the truth. But the funny thing is, they were all told to get there a different way. They were all told that their path was the one way to get there. So when the travelers all found each other at the bottom of the mountain and they realized they were all going to the same place, they started to share their paths. And the first one said, I was told that the way up the mountain is up through a meadow with flowers. And when I get to the top, I will find the truth. And the truth at the top of the mountain will be called the great mother of all. And the second person said, that's interesting. I was told that I have to climb the cliffside of the mountains, and it's a rocky path. And when I get to the top, I will find the truth, and the truth will be called the great Father in heaven. The third traveler said, it's really interesting that we've been given different paths and all been told it's the right one. I was told that I had to walk through a river valley and see this wide river valley as I walk up. And when I get to the top, I will find the truth, and the truth will be called the Great Spirit in all things. The fourth traveler said, well, I was told that I needed to walk through the deep forest part. And in this forest, when I get to the very top, I will find the truth. And the truth will be called the great peace in all things. Finally, the fifth traveler said, I didn't hear any of that. I was told that I needed to make sure that I keep an eye on the sea and always see the sea as I am climbing up the mountain. And when I get to the top of the mountain, I will find the truth, and the truth will be called the great one who loves us all. And because all of them started to like each other and they all wanted to see everyone get to the top of the mountain, and because maybe it would be nice to have some company, they tried to convince each other to come their way. Please, you should come this way. Come through my path. Come through the meadow. This is the right path. Come through the forest with me. This is the right path. But they all eventually decided to go their own way. So they said goodbye to each other, wished each other luck, and each followed their path up the mountain. And something interesting happened. As they were all walking up the mountain, they all began to sing, but they all sang a different song. And they heard each other. They could hear each other around the mountain at the bottom, and they thought, those other songs sound really strange. What are you doing? They didn't understand what they were hearing, but they kept singing their own song until they could no longer hear each other, and the voices faded into the distance as they each climbed and climbed and climbed closer to the top. And as each of them started to near the summit of the mountain, suddenly they heard each other's voices again. They heard all these different songs, and they heard them differently. They said, how beautiful that song is. How come I didn't hear that before? How come I didn't hear how beautiful that was? And within minutes of each other, they all arrived at the top, and they looked around and they said, "Great Mother of all, I'm here. Great Father in heaven, I've found you." And all they could find was each other, but they were at the same place. They had all arrived at the same place. So they took each other's hands, and they made a circle, and they danced around, and they sang all their songs, which eventually rose and rose up into the sky and became one beautiful song of perfect harmony. Thank you. You want to go sit? And now we will remain seated, but we'll sing. Children and our young people to come to our classes.
It's time now to collect our morning offering. Before we do that, though, I have a slight note. The name of the piece for the offertory music in the printed program is incorrect. It is correct in the online version, so if you're using the QR code or using the online program order of service, it is correct. However, in the printed version, it should be, it might be on this, oh, it'll be on the screen after. Fanmi is the name of it, Fanmi Imam. It is by Valerie Coleman, and it is based on a poem by Maya Angelou. So when you see that difference, you'll know why it is. Every month, we share our generosity with a designated organization. The month of August, it is UU Justice PA, so all donations will be shared 50-50 with this organization unless they're somehow otherwise designated. This religious community is made up of volunteers and staff who put on a wide variety of programming, and all of it relies on our financial support. So in addition to the collection plate, you can donate by texting the word GIVE to 412-435-1050 and following the instructions there. There are also other options to give located at the end of your order of service. The offering will now be greatly received.
Such a blessing, Maddie. Thank you. I offer for our joys and sorrows that our beloved member Ward Kelsey was hospitalized for a few days this week following some small strokes, but they've discovered the cause, and the solution was to have surgery to clean out his carotid artery. So he is now home, resting, and probably driving MR, his wife, nuts. Your notes of love are welcome. She says they have plenty of food. I know that there are concerns and wounds in your own hearts, and I hope that you find some solace in bringing them here to this sacred space. And there are also joys, the celebrations, and the challenges. Let you find peace and ease here with one another. As we enter into a time of silence and personal prayer or meditation, I invite you to relax your body, take a deep breath, and settle in to your pew or your chair, wherever you are at home. And just breathe. Breathe. The Zen Buddhist practice helps us focus, if we have a puppy-like brain, of breathing in and counting 1, exhaling and counting 2, until you reach 10, and just start again, inhaling at 1, exhaling at 2. And if you lose count, that's fine. Just start back at 1. But it helps focus the mind, helps give us a little discipline. And if you like not having discipline and bouncing around like a puppy, that's fine too. Let's enter into a time of extended silence, prayer, meditation, or breathing. Into this silence, we can find a spaciousness to offer our love, to offer our gratitude for the blessings in our lives. Into this spaciousness, we can breathe freely, releasing any tension and stress. And we can be reminded of the power of that which we hold as holy, as precious. We can bring in and invite the transcendent experience of what we might call God. We can bring in the teachers of Jesus, Muhammad, Lao Tzu, Confucius, so many who have guided our journeys in ancient times and contemporary. We seek the journey where we can become into our best self, and to help others look as beautiful as they are. We can lean into life and the universe with a yes, yes, and we seek what is next with curiosity and a commitment to ensuring that there is beauty and justice and equity for all, liberation from all that oppress us as human, spiritual, and beautiful people. Amen. Blessed be. Ashe. I invite you to stay seated for 10:58, Be Ours a Religion.
This morning's reading is Creating Fire by Stephen M. Schick. Is the fire going out? Not in your belly, for you're still alive, but in your soul. That place where dreams fuel commitment, where longings shape action, where meaning flames purpose, where passion ignites and rekindles your life fire. If your soul smolders, then dream on until you flame like a chalice of hope.
The dragon this week is Fiyero. Fiyero asked to come out and inspire a fierceness in all of us today. One of my favorite preachers was the Reverend Fred Craddock. He was voted one of the best preachers in the country in his heyday. Unfortunately, he died in 2015, but his words and his stories live on. I had the benefit of actually hearing him twice. He presents as an older white male you think is going to bore you to tears, and next thing you know, you are in tears, just enthralled with his generosity of spirit and story. So one of his stories he told about a 28-year-old woman who attended church, and afterward, in the receiving line, she told Fred Craddock, this is my first time. And he's like, first time? She said, yeah. And he's, well, how was it? And she said, it was scary. And he's like, scary? Do you see that? He just repeats back with a question, inviting her to share. And she said, yeah, scary. It seems so important here. Important, huh? He said, yes. I don't feel important. I don't do important things. So this seems scary. It's an important place. This was at St. Mark's Church in Atlanta, which seems like an important city, an important church. So why not? Never do anything important, though. Those words struck me and kind of break my heart a little, don't they? Breaks my heart because I feel like religion isn't just in St. Mark's Church in Atlanta or here. It's everywhere. It permeates our culture. But yet I feel like, at least for one Atlanta 28-year-old woman, religion has let her down. So today I'm wondering, what is the purpose of religion? Are we letting people down? And really, the purpose of religion, it's a ridiculous question. I'm just going to say that right up front. I'm proposing myself to engage in a ridiculous endeavor this morning, and I'm treating it as an important question, though. And religion, for me, is an institution with a kind of a mission of inviting people on a religious journey. But what is that all about? It seems important, and I think it is. Those 3 words, I think they've been answered 1,000 times in 1,000 scriptures and 1,000 religions over thousands of years. So here I have a few moments of your time. Early in my ministry, I provided one answer. I was very young in my ministry, and it seemed like a really good answer. A lot of clergy were saying it, so it must have been true. It said the purpose of religion was to comfort the afflicted and afflict the comfortable. Have you heard that before? Yeah. I probably said it more than once. Well, those many years ago, and many members ago, one of my members strongly objected. She said, Reverend Kate, in a 2-page long letter, Reverend Kate, no one wants to go to church to be afflicted. Okay, I thought, in my young ministry, I thought, but those are really good words, even though they weren't mine. But still, I said them, and I believed that the quote carries some truth to it. Yet my member also had a point. Nobody likes to be poked when they're comfortable. It's true. Yet some people, some of us, including myself, need to be nudged and pushed out of their comfort in order to do something important. We don't usually do important things if we're comfortable. Fred Craddock, that beloved man, he also talked about a story when he went on to his church office one day where he served in eastern Tennessee. It was raining hard that day, and he went into his office and looked out the window and saw that rain and thought, I really should go visit the woman who's in the hospital, and I have some home visits to do. And then he looked at all the wonderful books on his shelf and the comfortable chair in the corner, and he thought, yes. As he reached for a book and was about to settle into his comfortable chair, he saw out there on the sidewalk, going door to door, 2 Mormon missionaries. Oh man, he thought, they're ruining my comfort with their zeal. We humans need to be motivated, frankly. We like comfort, more likely to do something when we find something compelling and inspiring and we get downright altruistic. It's an interesting quote, that comfort or afflicted. It came from a 19th century journalist and humorist. Finley Peter Dunne was his name, Finley Peter Dunne. He was, again, a humorist and a journalist. I like that combination. And you can argue that journalists and, preachers have some things in common. I suppose. And yes, my first very, very brief career was as a journalist. And it wasn't a big leap for me to go into seminary. But perhaps I was driven by wanting to do something important. That first part, to comfort the afflicted, I think we can agree that that's a good thing, don't you say? That's a good thing. But that to afflict the comfortable, that is actually a proclamation. It's a pursue justice proclamation. It's a call for us all to use our prophetic voice to ensure there is equity for everyone, that to eradicate oppression. But those two statements aren't two separate statements with a period. There's a comma in between. They're tied to each other, which means we're also, and here's the hard part, invited to comfort the comfortable. Let me unpack that. People who are engaged in oppression and harm, I propose to you, are afflicted and they're hurt. They're full of pain and brokenness. That's often what we do when we are broken. When we have festering wounds, we harm each other. We act out of those broken places. They need comfort as well, even though they may refuse it again and again and again. And on this path of brokenness, though, we can create so much harm, so much harm. And imagine the transformation for somebody who is broken and causing harm, and you offer them compassion. It's similar, though, for all of us. Even those of us who are not causing harm and are broken, we've made a choice, haven't we? We've made a choice to carry our wounds somehow and not harm others, but it can also mean that we feel disengaged, that we feel anything but important, that our wounds are weighing us down and we don't want to help others, never mind feel important. Any one of us can be in here today with small wounds or large wounds, and maybe a little dose of love and compassion and friendship can help transform us into something powerful, into doing important things without harming others. All of this is a choice that we need to make, hopefully consciously. I hope that this happens in our religion as Unitarian Universalists, because we have been professing that we are co-creators together, so I need you all to feel transformed, to feel like you're important. But I want to dig into that quote a little bit more, though, because it's not simply to comfort the afflicted, inflict the comfortable. That feels rather dualistic to me. I think it's more complex. Our mission and part of our vision, our value system is driven that we see the world as an interconnected web of existence with love at the center, which means it is more complicated, this interconnected web where we all bear responsibility for our actions with one another, that we help and encourage those who are wounded, encouraging to reclaim our power and our sense of agency in this world. We hold these powers also to hold others accountable, to hold others accountable. In today's political climate, more and more clergy are starting to use that prophetic voice to hold powerful leaders who are causing so much harm, holding them to accountability. They are taking risks to do so. More and more are recognizing the power of the church to do these important things. I was thinking about a different time in our country where things were politically hot, 1940s and 50s. Now, McCarthy era, civil rights era. And one of my heroes was A. Powell Davies. A. Powell Davies. He was an immigrant from Wales and was a Methodist, but he got converted to Unitarians. Excellent move. And he was called by All Souls Church, Unitarian Church in Washington, D.C. And he served there starting in 1944 in the height of McCarthy and civil rights. And he used that church in a powerful city and his powerful pulpit and his powerful preaching and words and organizing to do some amazing and important things. And his people felt important. He was a remarkable man, and he inspired that church, and the work that he did inspired 5 more Unitarian churches in the D.C., Virginia, Maryland area. They started listening to his sermons on a telephone wire. And those 5 churches spawned even more churches. So outside of Boston, where the Unitarian Universalists are headquarters, the Washington, Maryland, Virginia area has the most concentrated of Unitarian Universalist churches, in large part because of A. Powell Davies. He was an extraordinary man, but even he knew that doubt, discouragement, and dismay were always just a breath away. He needed courage to do his work, and his hope needed to be renewed and his conscience sharpened. He knew that he was a human on a spiritual journey and that the journey was really, really hard. So these are the words that he offered about going to church. He said, "I come to church and would whether I was a preacher or not, because I fall below my own standards and need to be constantly brought back to them. I am afraid of becoming selfish and indulgent, and my church of the free spirit, brings me back to whatever I want to be." He preached moving sermons from that place of doubt and need in that relationship that was reciprocal. He offered his vulnerability and his generosity, his expansiveness, and his call to be important. But even preachers don't always follow what they teach. One of my things about A. Powell Davies that makes me very, very sad is that he literally worked himself to death. He had surgery, was told to stay home and rest, but he didn't. He went to the office as working on his sermon, where he died of a heart attack in 1957. Life has these incredible sacred moments, and if we're paying attention, we find meaning in death, and peace and joy, and perhaps transcendence amidst the mundane, the moments that carry us through grief and loss and challenge and the pain and the tragedy when it hits our lives. It carries us through the frightening times, whether it's the 1940s or 50s or 2026. The religion gives us a rich and powerful goal to be the best of who we can be. I think religions, not newspapers, have a mission to help navigate holistically, expand our existence and life and breathing through all the peril. Religion motivates, inspires, reaching beyond ourselves through prayer, through art, through music, through paintings and frescoes and sculptures and words. Religion compels us to be co-creators and to stretch beyond our limitations. Religion helps us resist our pettiness, our ego, our greed, to push past and into our generosity, our beauty. It teaches us to discover self-care, even as we engage in our self-interest. It helps us find that intersection where joy and commitment meet. That's what self-interest is, where joy and commitment meet. And I think we should be teaching our children that from a young age. Fred Craddock, again, always good for a story, tells about a time that he was at a visiting church. And he stepped outside after church, when at the same time a big van pulled up, and out of the doors opened, and out of that van poured the most, he tries to use this lovely, scraggly group of adolescents he'd ever seen. They were filthy, they were exhausted, and they were spilling out of that van with long, craggly hair, and they were throwing sleeping bags and backpacks out the door, and then sitting in those bags, clearly waiting for parents that may not want them again. And he asked one of the tired-looking teens, and he says, "What's going on?" And he said, "Well, we just went down the road a bit here, and we helped a community rebuild their church that had burnt down." And then Fred Craddock said, "You look exhausted." And the teen grinned from ear to ear, and he said, I am, but it's the best tired I have ever been." That is religion. Best tired I have ever been. I think the purpose of religion is compel us to be our best self, or it fails the biggest test of being a human being. Religion has to stop the violence that's coming from our pain and our loneliness and our separation and our resentment and our anger. It needs to help stop us from filling empty spaces with empty calories, where festering anxiety just means that we're spewing unhappiness all over the place like a great Labor Day sale. Jackie Lewis, one of my other favorite and inspiring preachers, she's a minister at Community Church in New York, she said, "Any religion that puts hate speech in the mouth of God is no religion at all." Amen, amen. Any religion that puts hate speech in the mouth of God is no religion at all. One of the worst things that religion can do is separate the human spirit or love from the body. Western religion is a primary offender about this. Gets caught up in that self-serving so-called mission, yes, you're hearing it from this pulpit, of saving people from the dangerous theology that sin is bound within our body. It is not. Can you repeat that with me? Sin is not bound within our body. How? Do you believe that? No matter what church you were raised in, sin is not bound within our body. The only result from that theology is a tearing down, a ripping apart ourselves as holy, as precious, as beloved, as valued, as important. It creates a disembodied existence that it's sexless, it's without sensuality, it's outside and separate from nature, leading to being trapped without value of life, work, or connection. It means we can never be something greater than ourselves if we see ourselves as diminished or less than. So I suggest that if religion doesn't help you be the best person, the best version of yourself, the most beautiful, that religion has lost its way. It's at a dead-end, empty road. Religion is an invitation to put our whole self in. And when religion isn't arguing about God, isn't tearing us into bits and pieces, religion should be inviting us to put our whole self in that ridiculous dance that we've always done, put the one arm in and the one leg and put your whole self in. This is on the pragmatic community of hearts and souls, seeking to connect with one another, but on a more esoteric, more aesthetic level. It's a genuine curiosity to see beyond our intellectual limited capacity, that is which is transcendent, which is beyond our current knowledge, to keep digging into truth, whether it be at the top of a mountain or the bottom of the ocean, to keep asking, what is out there? I could go towards Star Trek. I'll just point you in that direction, but that's what I'm talking about. To keep asking, what is out there? As Unitarian Universalists, here we are, non-creedal, non-dogma. We invite you to figure out the theological questions and answers, and we explore them together. And as Stephen Schick wrote in this beautiful poem that Chrissy read a little bit ago, religion, a good religion, a powerful religion, an important religion, rekindles the fire in the belly. It helps dreams take shape. It creates meaning, frames purposes where dreams can live on. It's a high standard. It has to be a high standard. But if religion is going to continue on in its best self, it has to be a high standard, because otherwise it's just social hour with some really good art. Amen. Blessed be. Ashe. I invite you to stand as you're able for 1020 Woyaya. I invite you to remain standing as you're able as we extinguish the chalice. The words are found in our hearts as well as on the screen and in the order service. And I want to remind you how grateful we are to Janet and all of our hymn leaders. Thank you. And as you say these words, see, it was authentic gratitude, yeah. And as we say these words and extinguish the chalice, I remind you, these words are being said at UU churches all across the country, and that's kind of cool in this big collective moment. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Go forth into this world, my beloved. Go forth with maybe some fire rekindled and your chalice of hope lit bright for all to see. For then, I believe we will have achieved the purpose of at least this religion. Return again with love.